You have been doing everything right. You gave up sugar, you started waking up early to work out, you stopped eating past 8 at night, and you even started tracking your calories. But no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how many sacrifices you make, that belly fat just sits there like it owns the place. It does not budge. And that is not just frustrating, it is confusing. Because if you're doing all the right things, why is your body not responding? What if the problem has nothing to do with your diet or your workout routine? What if there is something happening inside your body every single morning before you even get out of bed that is quietly working against all of your efforts? Here's something that most people in the fitness world never talk about. There is a hormone that spikes inside your body every single morning automatically, whether you want it to or not. It happens within the first 30 minutes of waking up. It's not triggered by what you eat or how much you slept. It just happens like clockwork every single day. That hormone is cortisol. And before you dismiss this as just another health buzzword, I want you to understand something important. Cortisol is not your enemy by itself. Your body actually needs it. It's designed to wake you up, sharpen your focus, and get you ready to take on the day. The problem is not cortisol existing. The problem is what happens when it spikes too high or stays elevated for too long. Scientists have a specific name for what happens to cortisol in the morning. They call it the cortisol awakening response, or CAR. Within the first 30 minutes of waking up, your cortisol levels shoot up by about 50%. Think about that for a second. Your body is flooding itself with a stress hormone before you have even had a single thought about your day. For most people living in the modern world, checking phones the moment they wake up, rushing through mornings, skipping breakfast, chugging coffee, this natural spike gets amplified into something much more dangerous. And when cortisol stays too high for too long, your body switches into a very specific mode, survival mode. And survival mode has one primary goal: store fat, especially around your belly, because your body believes it needs to protect your vital organs. A study published in the journal Obesity found a direct and undeniable link between elevated morning cortisol levels and increased abdominal fat. Not fat on your arms, not fat on your legs, specifically belly fat, the kind that wraps around your organs like bubble wrap, the kind your body stores when it genuinely believes you're under threat. And here's the maddening part. No amount of crunches, no number of sit-ups, no intense workout session is going to fix a hormonal problem. You cannot out-exercise a hormone that is signaling your body to store fat every single morning. You have to address the root cause, and the root cause is what is happening during that very first hour after you open your eyes. Now, here is where the story gets genuinely fascinating. Japan consistently ranks among the countries with the lowest obesity rates in the entire world. And when researchers started looking at why, they expected to find a miraculous diet secret or some ancient medicinal herb. What they found instead was far more interesting. It was a morning routine, a deeply ingrained cultural approach to the first hour of the day, built around calming the nervous system before the world gets loud. The Japanese do not wake up and immediately attack their days. They wake up and ease into them. They have 5 specific morning practices that, when combined, work together to manage that cortisol spike in a way that keeps the body in a fat-burning, stress-resistant state all day long. And the most remarkable thing about all 5 of them is that none of them cost a single penny. The first practice is called Asano no Mizu, which simply means morning water. This sounds almost embarrassingly simple, but the science behind it will change the way you think about your first 5 minutes of the day. Most people, the moment they wake up, stumble toward the kitchen and pour themselves a cup of coffee, and it feels right. Coffee means energy. Coffee means waking up. But here's the problem nobody tells you about. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body is dehydrated. Your cells have been working all night without any fluid intake, and they're running on empty. When you take that dehydrated, already stressed body and hit it with caffeine, a powerful stimulant, you're essentially throwing gasoline onto a fire that is already burning. Your cortisol spike gets bigger, your nervous system gets more activated, and your body's stress response kicks into a higher gear before your day has even started. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford University who has spent years studying the brain and nervous system, has spoken extensively about this exact topic. His recommendation is clear and consistent. The very first thing you should put in your body in the morning is not caffeine, it is water. But not just any water. The Japanese approach involves a glass of warm water, not cold, specifically warm, with a tiny pinch of sea salt and a fresh squeeze of lemon. Warm water is gentler on the digestive system and helps wake it up gradually rather than shocking it. The sea salt replenishes essential minerals like sodium and magnesium that your body burns through overnight during sleep. Magnesium, in particular, is a natural cortisol regulator that most people are unknowingly deficient in. And the lemon adds a meaningful dose of vitamin C, which has been shown in research from the University of Alabama to significantly reduce cortisol spikes after stressful situations. 1 glass of warm lemon salt water, 2 minutes of effort, and you have already begun telling your body's hormonal system that today is a safe day. The second practice is called Asano no Sanpo, which translates to morning sunlight walk. And while it sounds poetic, the physiological mechanism behind it is one of the most well-documented findings in modern chronobiology. Within the first 30 minutes of waking up, you need to step outside and expose your eyes to natural sunlight. Not sunlight filtered through a window, not the glow from your phone screen or a lamp, actual unfiltered daylight hitting your retinas directly. The reason this matters so profoundly is because light is the single most powerful signal your body uses to set and regulate your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour biological clock. And when that clock is misaligned, everything goes wrong. Your sleep quality drops, your hunger hormones go haywire, your metabolism slows down, and your cortisol regulation becomes completely disrupted. Dr. Sachin Panda from the Salk Institute, who has dedicated decades of his career to studying circadian biology, has found that people with consistently disrupted circadian rhythms carry significantly higher levels of cortisol and measurably more visceral belly fat than those who keep their rhythms properly aligned. Morning sunlight triggers your brain to produce serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter, during daylight hours. That serotonin then converts into melatonin as night falls, giving you deeper, more restorative sleep. Better sleep means lower cortisol the following morning. Lower cortisol means less belly fat storage. It's a beautiful chain reaction, and all you have to do to start it is step outside for 10 minutes. The Japanese have been doing this for centuries, long before any scientist could put it under a microscope, because instinctively they understood that connecting with the natural world in the morning changes the entire chemistry of the day. The third practice is called Ma, which means intentional pause, and this one is going to be the hardest for most people to accept. Do not drink your coffee for the first 90 minutes after you wake up. I know, I can feel the resistance through the screen, but stay with me because the reason behind this is something that will completely change how you understand the relationship between caffeine and energy. When you wake up in the morning, your brain contains a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is what creates the feeling of sleepiness and mental fog. Normally, your brain clears this chemical out naturally over the course of about 90 minutes after waking. Coffee works by blocking the receptors that adenosine binds to, which is why it makes you feel alert. But here's the critical problem. If you drink coffee before those receptors are cleared, you're not actually removing the adenosine, you're just blocking it temporarily. When the caffeine eventually wears off, usually around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, all of that blocked adenosine comes flooding back at once. It hits you like a wall. Your energy crashes, your body reads that sudden crash as a physiological stress signal, and cortisol rises in response. You feel tired, irritable, and suddenly desperate for something sweet or caffeinated to rescue you. Sound familiar? That's not a willpower problem. That's a chemical timing problem.
The concept of intentional pausing and creating space between actions, applied to caffeine, means simply waiting 90 minutes before your first cup. Let your brain clear its adenosine naturally. Then, when you do drink your coffee, it hits clean receptors and gives you real, sustained energy without the mid-afternoon crash. Dr. Huberman personally delays his caffeine intake by 90 to 120 minutes every single morning, and the result is smooth, steady energy that lasts all day. The fourth practice is Sanpo, and it's a direct challenge to everything modern fitness culture has been telling you. Walk. Just walk. Don't sprint, don't do a high-intensity